Peace, this is Jerome with Quantum Light Consciousness. Today I want to talk about the higher selves and their positions in relation to your vessel here in the third dimension. So your higher selves are you on a multitude of different levels. Metaphysically, etherically, energetically, cosmically. These beings are involved in your day-to-day life, whether you realize it or not. They are usually looking down over you, actively helping you behind the scenes or from your peripheral, literally guiding you, working in your favor through synchronicity and layering and leveling events that happen around you as you move forward into the future for your highest and best good. These are the beings that have your best intention at heart. These are the beings that who are you on a future timeline as an alternate and specifically higher evolved level of you. And most importantly, these are the beings that love you. These are unconditionally loving beings who only have your best intention at heart. They're the ones who are going to be there for you no matter what. They're the ones who are always going to tell you the right thing, whether it's what you want to hear or not. They're the ones who are going to stand up for you and allow their energy to work through you in order to bring your higher will timeline here to manifestation on earth for your life. So I wanted to talk about them today. I want to talk about your higher selves, their position on your soul stream, how they are involved and how they are important to you in your day-to-day life. Alright, so let's get started. I've made other videos like this before, like talking about higher selves, talking about who they are and why and how important they are. Yet I wanted to go over the levels and what their actual functions are, just from my experience, from what I've learned from others who have taught stuff like this, and from my day-to-day experience from integrating my higher selves and actually walking around as them and utilizing their skill sets and understanding how they've come to be, how they are, and experiencing who they are on an everyday level through conversation, through telepathic conversation, through the heart space, heart telepathy, through intuition, through verbally speaking to them in the etheric realms. I want to share my insight with you. I want to share with you how higher selves are, how they speak, how they work, how they live, what's important to them, and most importantly, what they are. Alright? So, your higher selves are angels. That's literally the definition of a human. It's an angel. An angel is a human, a higher evolved form of a person in their true form, as a manifestation of God or a goddess, as that divine supreme being, as a source being. So every single one of your higher selves is an angel, no matter what form they come to you. Alright? Because there are a lot of forms your higher selves will come to you in. All higher selves have light bodies. Alright? All higher selves are light beings at the core. So the way my soul stream works is like a layer upon a layer upon a layer upon a layer. You have me at the center, and then you have a layer around me, which is my higher self, and then you have a layer around me, which is my higher self of my higher self. You have a layer around me, which is my higher self of my higher self, and then another layer around me, which is my higher self of my higher self of my higher self, and it keeps going all the way out to infinity. So it depends how much you can handle and how much you can process to get to that energy body. Yet in the beginning, when you start to discover your higher selves, they're not layered around you in like a surrounding fashion. What happens is they're usually in duality. They're in a duality setup to where you have to transmute a lot of their karma to get them out of duality. Because what duality is a matrix that's copying intelligences and projecting intelligences and then running an entire duality matrix through soul streams to where you transition and then you reincarnate, then you transition and you reincarnate, then you transition and then you reincarnate. It runs an entire wheel as a duality matrix with projections of your higher selves. So it's like in the beginning you start to meet your higher selves, and then you start to meet the duality versions of your higher selves, which usually is like a black and white version of your higher self. So when you meet a black and white being, you realize that one day they're happy, and then the next day they're super rageful and they're out of control, and dealing with them is like an earthquake. And then the next day they're happy, but then you say one thing and then they're raging out of control, and then the earth is shaking, or it feels like it's an earthquake again. So that's what I figured out when I met one of my higher selves, who was like the duality version of what duality is. It's not good. It's not good. When you meet these beings, you realize like anything black and white is usually very unbalanced. So you want to get out of duality, to say the least. So the way a soul stream works is like one huge energy body that works all as one unified being, with each higher self connecting all the way up back to source energy, to where they can collaborate and integrate with their vessel on the ground of the earth as a unified being. So when you're connecting with your higher selves, you realize that they are you on a higher level, just as almost as chakras in a body, somewhat, except you're like the chakra. Like you're not the most important, but like you have like the most power, almost just as much power as they do, because you're here on the ground. Your body's physical, and then you also have your own energy body. The only thing you don't have like with you at this time as like more of a game changer is experience. Your higher selves have, because you're in your body, you're still a kid to them. You're 20, 30 years old, 40 years old, whatever, however old you are. If you're watching this, you haven't been through as much as your higher self has been through, not even close. So it's a balancing game. You draw off their experience, and they draw off of your immersion and integration you have here in the third dimensional realm, so you can help them do their job. Because that's what it's all about. It's about you helping, it's about you doing your job and you helping your higher selves do their job as your job, because you are them. And what is your job? Ascension. Awakening others here, bringing through the good news that ascension is happening. We're not going back into the dark age. We're going into the ascension age, the golden age, the new age of Aquarius. Positivity, spiraling up into oneness, because the earth is actually spiraling through space, and it's spiraling through space upward, counterclockwise. And where are we going? The fifth dimension. Alright? Heaven realms. Alright? Heaven on earth. That's what's happening soon. Alright? Within the next couple hundred years, at least. Give or take. Realistically. All right. So I want to talk about the higher selves and unifying and integrating your higher selves and getting into that state to where you're ascending and you're doing the right thing as it is correct for you to do. So currently at the time I'm shooting this video, I have about 18 of my higher selves integrated within me. Now when you integrate a higher self, what you do is you you ask your version of God, or you ask your version of your higher self, who is the highest version you've contacted, to bring one of your higher selves to you so you could integrate them into your heart. So that's what integration is. And when you integrate them, you are literally bringing them back into your experience as you. Because when something's like in your heart, that's you. You're saying that's you. Okay, you're my soul piece. So as you learn how to reintegrate your higher selves, you begin to regain a lot of ability sets, a lot of memories, a lot of skills and knowledge and experiences you had not remembered beforehand. So it's very important to do this and experience these things because you want to self-actualize and become more of yourself as much as you possibly can while you're here living your life in the third dimension. And why? Because you won't live forever here. You're not going to live forever in this realm. You will live forever because life is eternal. It never stops. However, here, physically, you're here in a physical body once, and it's very important for you to learn how to do these things because this is it. This is all you get. You get one physical body, and it's like very crucial for you to do this. So this is why I'm making this video. It's actually something I never say. Ascension is so important. You would not believe how mind-blowingly important it is. So just listen, please. Okay, so starting with you in 3D, you are your energy body. You have your own vessel. You have your own light body. You are embodied as a being of light. This is your first realization when you start to awaken and align your chakras and spin your energy. You start to align and open your third eye, and your crown opens, and you start to be able to sense and feel and see around you etherically and feel around you etherically and do all sorts of things and pick up on all sorts of happenings and situations and enhance your clarity and get smarter and deepen your wisdom and wake up. It's a beautiful thing when you start to understand yourself more as who you are. So that's the first level, is you as yourself, as a God being, as creator, as the one and the all, as the beginning and the end, as the Alpha and Omega. All right, it begins and ends with you initially. From here, you go to your higher selves. You have your fourth dimensional higher self, who is you as a light being in the fourth dimension. Now, each one of your higher selves start as a light being, and they end as a light being. And initially, they may need some help. When you bring your higher selves to you, they may show up as darkness. They may show up as a being with dark matter layered around them, as a dark body. Yet, just how you understand physics, you understand that what is darkness? Darkness is only space, empty space as light. That exists as light. So when you transmute your higher selves, you transmute the darkness into more of what it is as light. So you start to be able to clear the density off of your dark higher selves with, of course, the help of your version of God, your highest version of higher self that you've contacted. And you then integrate your higher self that you recently brought to you. Okay, so don't be surprised when you start this process and bring a higher self to you and they're surrounded in darkness. However, in the fourth dimension, you shouldn't have that problem, because the fourth dimension is just empty space. It's just space for light to exist. It's just a realm to where you have become enlightened, to where you're ready to transition, and you've become the master of your intention. All right. The key to the fourth dimension is intention. Is what you intend to happen will happen. What you intend to do is what you're going to do, and what you continue to do is who you are. So you start to connect with this version of yourself, and that version of yourself begins to grow and become a part of your life. So when you begin to connect with your higher selves like this, you realize that, number one, they're super beings. Like, they're superhuman beings in the etheric realm. Like, they're the champions of their graduating class. Like, they're the people, they're the guy or the girl who saved the day, you know, who was the hero, who put their city or town or world on their back and single-handedly, like, either saved the world or did something that was superhuman, you know, or did something that was unprecedented that nobody had seen before, and they were one of one, like very, very, a very, very powerful person. Number two, they're an angel. All right, you know what an angel is? A God being, a very highly evolved human, the true form of what a human is. Number three, they're enlightened. If a higher self comes to you as a light being, they're enlightened. You don't have anything to worry about when they come to you as a light being. And number four, if they come to you as a dark being, there's room for improvement. There's a transition that has to take place. You have to bring in your higher selves above them, or your version of God, and shake them awake, transmute them awake, and let them know how things work, because they are enlightened in their own way. However, they have learned things throughout their lifetimes that they've done to survive, to not die, you know? So those are the four major things that you need to remember, okay? After those four things, and you understand who a higher self is on a personal level, you can basically sum up that higher self by being like, hey, you're like this person, or hey, you're like this person, you know? It's they have an archetype. They have an archetype that carries them, that carries their legend. A lot of times down into 3D. Usually there's like a movie made about them, or there's a song made about them, or they're from like a legend, or even from a religion sometimes. You know, they have a candor. They have a myth. They have a story, and a lot of times you'll find like you'll find your higher self in some stories that have always been your favorite story. And it's like, whoa, you've been in this the entire time? They're like, yeah, I've always been here. So it's kind of like a homecoming when you start to actually connect and present yourself as ready to communicate with your higher self and be there when they're ready to meet you halfway, and when you're ready to meet them as well. So my fourth dimensional higher self is a light being who is very connected to the earth, who is a king, who is a very fearless leader, who is a superhuman being, who has a lot of honor and integrity and unconditional love in his heart. You'll start to understand your higher selves like this as you continue to connect with them, and when you integrate with them and start becoming more like them, those genuine characteristics start to show up in your life. Okay, so starting from the fourth dimension, that's basically the type of stuff you'll see. That's my fourth dimensional version. So if you connect with your fourth dimensional version, whether you're a guy or a girl, you'll probably see the same type of things. Okay, so from here going on, like as I go through the levels, you'll probably see the same type of things. So as you go up each dimensional level, you have like an archetype as that dimensional level, because each dimensional level per person has one unique being who embodies that dimensional level for that person. So you have like the Jesus or the Mary for that dimensional realm. You understand what I'm saying? Like you have like the guy or the girl who is the representation for a vessel for that dimensional realm. If that makes any sense, okay? So keep that in mind, because again, each higher self has their own story. They have their own myth. They have their own legend, and they're very powerful. So as you go up, you realize that it's a very amazing thing to be reconnecting with yourself like this. All right, so moving up to the fifth dimensional level. You have your fifth dimensional higher self, which is a unique version of yourself because it's literally you, like physically you. Like it's like an alternate version of you, like except they have your face, like they're actually you. It's not like an alternate. It's not like an alternate version of you. That's an alternate version. It's an alternate version of you that is you in the future, with you as you, like directly, like you are your higher self in the fifth dimension as much as you are your higher self in the third dimension. So it's important to get as close as you possibly can with this version of yourself. So when you first meet this version of yourself, you realize that this version of you is perfect. It's like you worked out every single day of your life. It's like nothing bad has ever happened to you any time of your life. You have a perfect smile. Like your smile like shines like through your face like a sun. Like you're always very happy. You have an amazing sense of humor. You are very balanced. You're not worried about anything. You know, you live in heaven. It's like you made it. This is the ascended version of yourself. It's like so profound and so incredible to connect with yourself like this. It's like you have to do it. It's like it's something that everybody should do. You know, so it's why I make these videos, because it's more important than you realize. Okay, so that's a fifth dimensional version. Just picture yourself that way and feel from your heart and see with your heart when you bring yourself into your space so you can connect with yourself like that. So it's like you actually begin to process it, understand it, and integrate. Now moving up to the sixth dimension. So the sixth dimension is a little bit tricky. It was a little bit tricky for me to get down, to understand. Why? Because the sixth dimension is like, it's like the beginning of duality. It's like the beginning of where things start to polarize and take place to where there are multiple versions of you in different timelines, both existing in the same dimensional state. So the sixth dimension is like the mind space to where you really, it's a real test. You really have to balance your mind and unify your brain hemispheres and work from the midbrain. Okay, that's the most important. Using the midbrain to understand yourself as enlightened, and understanding that the brain isn't polarized. The brain is just a unified unit. The brain is an enlightenment of your mind. It's a manifestation of the enlightenment of your mind. And when you begin to utilize and use your hemispheres as one, you begin to be able to track and cohere and understand and develop your higher selves as you transmute them and bring them back to you and integrate them again. So the sixth dimension is very important because that is where a lot of people get stuck. That's where a lot of people get lost. That's where a lot of people get caught up and loop, and they get caught in programs of the past and their fears and their traumas, and their past experiences begin to replay when they get into new situations and they don't know what to do because they've never been in them. So what happens, their past trauma plays on a loop. So working with the sixth dimensional version of self will get you out of that. All right. So when you first get to this dimension, don't freak out. All right, because this dimension might be the trickiest one. I personally I personally went way past this dimension before I had to come all the way back and realize that, wow, I didn't get the sixth dimension right, because so much was going on that I didn't see, that I was not aware of, because it was a very high difficulty. So in the sixth dimension, you literally have two versions of yourself. This is from the story of duality, to where you have multiple versions of reality that are vying for energy or attention to play itself out or to live through. And you have to choose which version of you are you going to be from a timeline that you identify as, all right, as who you are today, all right? So when you first start to process the sixth dimension, you see you have these versions of your higher selves, like literally on the ground with you, running your vessel. Like, this is the very, very beginning. You realize that all your life, you actually had a controller behind you that's speaking their intention through your chakras and saying, hey, I'm this, I'm this, I'm this. Hey, let's do this, guys. Hey, I'm here now. Hey, well, let's get into this. Hey, let's do this. And it's just like, it's very humbling to turn around and look this being in the face and be like, no, you're not going to control me any longer. You have to decide whether you like to ascend or not. And then you bring in your higher version of yourself or your version of God, and you allow that dark version to be transmuted instead of having a dark version control you. Okay? So in the sixth dimension, you see you come into contact with these two beings. One being tries to control you, and another being literally is living through you as their continuing timeline from ancient Egypt. So that's what you'll see. You'll see one being that's more or less partially cybernetic, that chose or had been inducted into a lifestyle or a trigger or a forceful choice into being fused with technology. And then you have a being who is a master in their own right, who will continue to perpetuate their knowing and understanding and knowledge and wisdom as themselves through you in the filter of ancient Egypt. So if you understand, like, these beings can coexist, and you can still utilize both of them as, number one, you can still utilize both of them as a being who has transmuted themselves and regained full function of their entire biological living body as pure light, and done away with all technology, and is who they are again naturally on a biological, fully natural level without any cybernetics. And you can also have a being who has all the experience and knowledge of ancient Egypt, who continues to live and progress and guide in the physical realm to this day. So that's what you want to do. You want to get into the sixth dimension, the sixth dimensional space, and balance each side of it. Because once you do that, you start to begin to control more of your energy field. And what is control? Control is power. And what is power? Power is wisdom. And when you have that level of wisdom, you are granted access into higher levels of unconditional love, which means you grow and expand and multiply your size exponentially. So that's what you want to do. You want to do that. Okay? So that's a sixth dimension. That's a sixth dimension in a nutshell. All right, so moving on to the seventh dimension. Seventh dimension, you contact your seventh dimensional being. They are an angelic being, directly from heaven. Usually they're like a Pleiadian, from the Pleiades star sector. My seventh dimensional version of self is a healer. He's a healer. He's good at utilizing healing energy and isolating areas in the body, like surgeon, and really integrating and moving energy into spaces that need repair. Um, Almost like an acupuncturist, you know, something like that. He's very skilled. He's a very powerful being, and a benefit for my soul stream. Knowing your higher self like this and knowing their job, knowing what they do, knowing what they're best at is absolutely critical for you as a person when awakening. So that's the seventh dimension. So moving up to the eighth dimension. The eighth dimension, you have your higher self who may come to you as a dark being at first that you have to transmute. However, once you transmute them back into the light being of who they truly are, you have a being who is very good at wielding power, very good at negotiating, very good at speaking to others and conveying their point of view. My eighth dimensional higher self is a angel human who lived in like the medieval times of Earth, who was a knight, who was very good at those things, who was very good at speaking to others, who's very good at leading others, very good at riding a horse, very good at negotiating, you know, very good at fighting with a sword, you know, all the things knights do. You know, it's like he's like a version of King Arthur. You know, these are the types of things you meet as you move up in dimensions, and you realize that you're not just your own physical body on Earth. You have a lot of intelligences looking down at you and following you and rooting for you and working with you, for you, as you. So that's the eighth dimensional realm there. Moving up to the ninth dimensional realm. You have a ninth dimensional version of self who's an angel. Your ninth dimensional version of self is very good at doing exciting things. They're very good at eliciting a rise within themselves. You know, they're very good at riding a wave. You know, they're very good at things like surfing or racing or driving. You know, or being a pilot or like, you know, swimming. Basically doing anything that requires extreme focus with their body to where they're in a flow state in that 0 point and they become like a god. You know, they become all powerful and reality starts to move around them. Reality becomes fluid around them and they become that presence that just is I am that I am. They are that. Your ninth dimensional version is a very unique being that is enthusiasm itself. If you look into what the word enthusiasm means, it means it's like a Latin word that means the God within. All right, so they are that. They are enthusiasm. They are a God within you, as you. So when you connect with them, you'll begin to see those things inside you, especially when you integrate them as yourself. So moving up to the 10th dimension. The 10th dimension is a very unique dimension because it's the number 10. And when you have the number 10, you have unity, you have oneness, you have a very important space to where things have to go right, to where you have to understand this version of yourself, or else a lot of things could not go exactly the way you plan, especially in your day-to-day life. Why? Because the 10th dimensional version is ruled by dragons. Now, if you know who dragons are, you understand. It's like a if you know type of thing. Because dragons are very good at controlling situations, they're very good at controlling people, they're very good at controlling outcomes and utilizing their will to dominate. Alright? Just see my Oracle deck if you haven't seen it yet. I have a lot of dragon cards, a lot of information about dragons because dragons are my favorite. Dragons are like one of the most primordial universal intelligences that you can come across. Like, they are it. They are like the most ancient intelligence besides humans, of course. Humans came before dragons because humans are the universe, yet dragons literally fuel the evolutionary progress and development and progression of the universe. So if you ever talk to a dragon, they're like, "I am the universe." Like, just look at a flame, that's me. Just look at a spiral, that's me. Just look at a crystal, that's me. Yet they'll say all these things, and you're like, "But you're not wrong. You're actually there. I see you there." So they're like the most amazing and awesome beings like you can like ever imagine, because they're super wise, they're super intelligent, they're very quick-witted. So dealing with a dragon is super awesome and funny and enlightening. Yet you have to know how to transmute them. You have to know how to work with their strengths and get them back on the track to ascension. Because when you do, it's in your best interest to move forward and wake up. Because your dragon version of yourself is one of the main controllers of the rest of your soul stream, downwards and upwards. It's like as above, so below. Well, as above, so below, it starts at the 10th dimension because you have a dragon there. Dragons can control anything they want, so it's kind of like that. If you know a person who's like a dragon, who's like dragon-like, a lot of times when they start going in their own direction, it's hard for them to stop. It's hard for anybody to stop them, because why? They're being controlled by a dragon. It's just, it is what it is. And so you want to learn how to control your dragon. You want to learn how to transmute your dragon. That means your 10th dimensional version of yourself. Okay? So you bring in your version of God, or your higher version of self that you've been in contact with, and you transmute your dragon. Okay? So when you do this, it's a lot of healing that has to take place here. Because with your dragon version of yourself, there's a lot of things that have to be healed and transitioned and moved, so you can move forward into the next position of life, to grow and to become more of who you truly are. And a lot of karma that have happened in the past timelines with dragons, it's been a lot of pain, it's been a lot of hurt, it's been a lot of war and destruction, and a lot of wounds with the heart, and a lot of manipulation and limitations of the mind, and and a lot of controlling of the mind. So really get in there and heal your dragon. It's something that you want to do for yourself. The key things in healing your dragon, you'll find that when you contact your dragon, it's a different type of darkness that you'll find that's different than your other higher selves. It's more intense. You may actually feel actual hate coming from your dragon. You'll feel like disdain for human life. You'll feel these things. You'll feel wrath. You'll feel like extreme like anger. Stuff like this. These are dragon-like. I won't say dragon-like, but these are like things that you have to work with your dragon to get over, because these are things that are a cataclysmic event if they are acted upon. You don't want these types of emotions floating around somewhere in your energy body, to where on an off day, if you're triggered in the wrong way, or you're in the wrong space, or the wrong types of events happen, then all the trauma from your dragon gets put all to you. Next thing you know, you're walking around as a dragon and you can't control yourself. It's not good. You have to clear the line and understand yourself enough to get into clarity and utilize your truth into transmutation of your karma from these past lives, from when terrible things have happened. You can only do that with unconditional love, with the wisdom of a higher version of yourself who is much wiser than you, or your version of God who is the most supreme version, and really get into your dragon to clear these things away, because it's what's most important, one of the most important. So that's the 10th dimension. So, moving on to the 11th dimension. The 11th dimension is another angelic being. My angelic version is a litigator. He works in the halls of heaven. He's a very intense and articulate and intelligent servant of the councils and courts of heaven. He's the guy you want on your side if you need him to litigate your way out of a dimensional situation, to where, say, you take a job, and once you start working that job, there's a lot of energy coming from that job that wasn't on the job description. You want your higher self to be able to have the wisdom and knowledge and skill sets to handle problems like this with you. All right? So that scenario literally happened to me. It's mainly important to understand your higher self's job. So if you were to ever get into a situation to where you sign a piece of paper and you start working somewhere, or you start dealing with some type of, when you start dealing with people in an agreement, and then you are met with energy that is unseen and is unwelcome and is very intrusive, you're then able to disarm the energy and move the energy out of your energy field, and it doesn't hold you. It doesn't hold you for any period of time, and it doesn't do anything to any part of you, because you have the halls of heaven on your side in divine decree as divine law. Now, this is a next level thing. This is one of these things that you have to be very savvy to realize. You have to be a true empath. You actually have to really tune in and understand that there are dimensional forces at play, even in the physical realm. It's like, people in Hollywood, people in business situations, people in the music industry, people in the art industry, people in the sports industry, any big industry, there's things that happen to where people are met with energy, and it's like, how the hell did I get into this? How is all this stuff happening? Well, it's, probably because the financial system is like a trap. It's like a reincarnation system dealing with fraudulent energy that fronts itself, that tries to say it's soul energy when it isn't. It's not. So you have people trying to grab all these different areas, pockets of money, and they're literally thinking they're grabbing their own soul. And that's not what money is. That's not what the energy of money is. It's fake. It's literally a fraudulent, fake soul system to trick the people who are using it, thinking that, oh, if I get this, I get my soul. I get my soul back. That's why you see all these people trying to amass all this money and all these things and all these properties and all these material possessions and all these companies and all these cars and houses, because they say, oh, the more I have, the more I'm me again. That's not it. That's not it. That's never it at all. So and it's important to memorize that and remember that. So if you're ever forced to work your way through a very dark place to where you're dealing with people who are caught in a dark situation, you want to be the conscious one. You want to be the one who knows what the hell is actually going on. Like, no, I'm not actually here. I'm not actually doing what you people are doing. I'm here doing the things that I have to do to get to the next level of where I'm going. So, you people can keep whatever you're doing, but like, I have my higher self on my side. I know who I am. I'm here for a set amount of time to wake up, be conscious, and see my way out of here. And it is what it is, and that's what you do. So when you have your 11th dimensional higher self on your side, that version of yourself, they're a litigator, they're on your team, they're a team player, they understand the laws of heaven, and they know how to wield that power and how to litigate and how to kick some ass. So it's like, they'll get you out of a bad deal that you don't even know you made, and they'll do it with grace, and they'll be happy about it. So that's the 11th dimension. So moving up here, you have the 12th dimension. The 12th dimension is the last dimension of the first stack. That's what I call 3 to 12, like the first stack. That's where you have your avian version of higher self, who's like a bird-like being, kind of like Thoth from Egypt, from ancient Egypt, or kind of like the blue avians you hear from the stories in the starseed community. So they're human with a human body with extraterrestrial avian DNA. So they have a bird head with a human body. So these beings are, number one, very smart. Number two, their awareness is very sharp. Number three, they're very, very wise, because they're the conglomeration of your higher selves from 4 to 12. Okay, so they're like the. So if you ever seen a totem pole, you see that you see a bird at the top of that totem pole. It's because the Native Americans knew. They knew they knew the position of the avian higher self. They knew that the eagle looks over their tribe, their soul stream, as them. So, like, they are the conglomeration of who you are on those levels. So when you bring them into your body, when you bring them into integration as who you are, you start to really feel like you've become everybody of who you've been integrating so far as one being. That's like a feeling it's very hard for me to describe, because it is like so profound and so conglomerative that almost undescribable. It's like amazing, So some things that your avian higher self is good at is they're good at seeing. Okay, like seeing with their eyes, like birds are. Birds, hawks, eagles, they can fly at miles above the earth. And what are they doing? They're scanning, they're looking, they're scouring the surface for what they want. And it's that skill of eyesight. It's a skill of being able to see very clearly and in extreme detail from a far perspective, from a far distance. They're very good at that. So, in turn, another thing they're also good at is viewing timelines. They're very good at reviewing past lives. They're very good at reviewing things that have happened. They're very good at going through their own record of the history of things that have happened and picking out or looking at and identifying specific things and showing you and telling you about them and showing you how to do them. Much to the fact that when you integrate as this being, you'll begin to do that yourself. You'll begin to go into your past lives and be like, so what happened here in this specific area? Okay, so what happened here over here? But what happened here then? And it's like you begin to connect the circumstances with more understanding than previously possible. It's a very awesome skill set to have. And of course, the third thing that they're good at is flying. They're an avian being. They're very good at flying. So it's like awesome. Like if you ever embody them and then you fly around as them in the astral, you become like, you're like an acrobat. You can do 360s. You can like tornado spin, go down, come up, and do a flip and go up and tornado spin again. Any type of way. It's awesome. Literally. Very fun to embody in the astral, in the etheric realm as them. So that's your avian being. That's your 12th dimensional version of self. Alright, so the last one I'm going to do here is the 13th dimensional version of self. When you get to your 13th dimensional, basically you're transitioning into a new world. You're transitioning into a new paradigm to where you are the master of your own inner realm as far as your own understanding as yourself, as your own universe within your own body. So the 13th dimension works a little bit different than the 12 for them. When you're in the 13th dimension, you're in the center and you are the extensive point at that center. You go infinitely inward and you go infinitely outward. So in this state of existence, you have a lot of things around you that you are the master of. Living from this space and being from this space is an embodiment to your manifestation in life, into who you are and who you choose to be and how you choose to live your life, based by your actions that are granted from your principles that are ruled by your beliefs, which are your thoughts. So from this space, a important place to understand, like, once you hit 13, it's like a new ground zero. It's like you start over again. Like, your vessel in 3 days starts to change. You start to view things differently. You start to feel things differently. When I hit 13, that's when I realized that I could actually change the format or setup or fashion in which I exist with my higher selves. So the number 13 is very powerful in history, in astrology, in math and physics. The 13 is a very magic number. If you watch my world updates, you know the number 13 is huge for the United States. That was when the founding fathers of the country left the tyrannical England and moved over to what we know now as the United States. And they had 13 colonies. They had 13 council members. Okay? So when you have that number 13, you literally are saying, hey, I'm a new entity. I'm starting here anew. This is a new world. This is me now. This is what I'm doing. I'm out of the tyrannical stuff. Now I'm doing me. This is it. Okay? So that's kind of how it is when you exist as your higher self. You in your 13th version of yourself. Okay? And it's also why the number 13 has been hidden in many different areas. Also in astrology, you have 12 astrological signs. They kept it at 12 for reasons, because they don't want you to know about the 13th sign. Once you get to the 13th sign of Ficus, you have a being who is in total control of their serpent energy, and your serpent energy is like the most primal energy you can be in control of. Because once you control that, you control literally almost everything about yourself. Your sexual energy, your creation energy, your expressive energy, your explosive energy. So they want to have that power for themselves to control people with that power. Because if people got control that power, it will mean the end of their controls. So let's talk about the 13th higher self. What you have here, once you get up to the 13th dimension, is an angel. You have an angel, and what you'll find is that this angel has entire dimensional space around him as a sphere. Yet in the very center, he's a kid. You know, they're a kid. So, or she's a kid, depending if you're a guy or a girl. If you're a guy, you have a guy higher self. If you're a girl, you have a girl higher self. You'll find at the center, they're a kid with a whole entire dimensional space around them. And this angelic being is one of the most powerful beings on your soul stream. And as that inner child, as their true form, you find, once you integrate as that being, your inner child strengths also start to grow and become more pure and become more refined and defined as who you truly are. So one thing about this 13th dimensional higher self is that they're very good at holding space. They're very good at saying, hey, this is my space now. This is me. This is what I'm doing here. This is my reality. This is what's happening now. They're very good at that. Another strength is that they're very good at leading. They're very good at leading others and utilizing one directive to go one way in a specific direction to complete a specific objective. They utilize their values with principles from the angelic realm. So when they do things in a correct fashion, to where it's from honor, it's from liberty, it's for freedom, it's for oneness, it's for unconditional love, it's for peace, it's for unity. They do these things based off of galactic law, based off angelic law, for, like, you know, laws of the universe, laws of humankind, and they do them from their heart. They're very powerful, and they're also very skilled at driving, believe it or not, because they're good at moving through spaces, like moving their own dimensional space through the omniverse. They're very good at, like, piloting their own light ship, their own dimensional sphere, and utilizing that sphere as themselves in a very large space. So that's the 13th dimensional higher self. They're always with you. They're always looking after you. Their last higher self you want to deal with or think about looking at today, because once you get to 13, it's a whole nother zone. You transition into Ascension uh, officially, and you're officially like here. You've officially arrived. You've officially done the work, and you're continuing, and you're really, really into your own self-actualization because you transitioned through the dogma, through the falsehoods, through the lies, and you have entered into your own legendary space, your own galactic story, and you're continuing it as a person here embodied here on the physical earth.